This is Tim Bryce with my column titled, Are These the Good Old Days? As we get older, we're very much inclined to talk about the good old days. I'm sure I've bored my kids to death over what happened back in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. My parents like to talk about the 30s and 40s as they survived the Great Depression and World War II. And my grandparents used to talk about World War I and the Roaring 20s. However, it occurred to me recently that nowadays may very well be considered the good old days for someone else, probably my children's generation. If these are really the good old days, it makes me wonder what awaits us in the years ahead. Today's socio-political unrest makes us worry about tomorrow. For example, will we remain a capitalist society, or will we turn to the dark side of socialism? Will America remain the beacon for liberty in the world, or will it be snuffed out like the Romans? Our permissive society makes me wonder what our morality and values will be. Will religious fanaticism and/or the struggle over energy plunge us into a new kind of war? Will we be kind to Mother Earth? And will our ever-changing technology affect global communications and economics? There are a lot of unknowns here which we can only speculate on without absolute certainty. It's hard to plan for the future, not knowing where it might take us. It would be wrong to paint a picture of nothing but doom and gloom. As a species, we must always try to put our best foot forward and hope to build a better tomorrow. But to do so, we have to become engaged in what is going on and chart our own course of action as opposed to allowing others to dictate our future, such as the media. This means we have to become more proactive and less reactive in living our lives. We have enough people sitting on the sidelines. It's time for the younger generation to get into the game and run with the ball, not just in government, but in our companies, our communities, our schools, our places of worship, and other volunteer organizations. As Americans, we can ill afford to simply maintain the status quo. One reason we like the good old days is because they represent a seemingly simpler time in our youth, something we all yearn for as we grow weary of the rat race. I'll be curious to see in 20 to 30 years from now, God willing I'm still around, if we look back at this decade as a simpler time. I tend to describe it as much more fast-paced and fiercely competitive than the last 40 years. If this is true, what will the 30s look like? The 2030s, that is. I take comfort watching my grown son still interested in casting a fishing line now and then, watching a baseball game, working hard, showing empathy to others, and by performing his civic duty by voting or serving on a jury. Such simple acts gives me hope for our future. God help us. Friends, keep the faith. It's Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.